Hi, I'm Roy and this is Val. We're coming live to you from one of our classrooms at the Delphi Creativity Center in Lansing, Michigan. We wanted to just talk to you guys a little bit about cutting. We've had people ask us questions about glass cutting, and we know there's a lot of new people into the craft, so we wanted to go over some glass cutters and the tools to do that.
Yep, and like we're in our classroom here, so it's just us and Kaylee, who has her mask on, but we don't because we've both been vaccinated, so we're kind of safe, at least around each other. So we just want to make that clear. So when we're outside of the classroom, though, out in the store and about, we do definitely wear our face masks.
Yep, good. And then while we're going on here, if you guys have any questions, you can just comment on the section below the video or send us a message on Facebook or Instagram. And then
email us.
Yeah, you can always email us at Facebook at delphiglass.com.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put on some safety glasses, right? So while I'm doing some glass demonstrations, first thing I wanted to do was show you just a few glass cutters. We just grabbed a few different variety ones. I mean, for the most part, they all cut glass. It's just the handles that are different. So I grabbed a few of these are the pencil or pen style glass cutters. You'll see the cutting head is down here. These are the handles.
The cutting heads are basically all the same on all of them. So in picking one, it's more the handle that you like is what you kind of go with.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, that's good advice. When we were teaching people here to cut glass, I always tell people it's whatever feels comfortable in your hand, and sometimes you don't know that until you've tried it out for a little while. This one is another popular type of glass cutter. It's called a pistol grip. You can see you hold it like this in the palm of your hand. Just a different way of scoring the glass. Here's kind of a unique glass cutter. It's like a saddle type. So this part here, you would hold it into the, one way of holding it is here. You could hold it in between your index fingers. There's a variety of different ways of holding it. The advantage to a cutter like this is that you don't have to grip the cutter with your hand so much. So this cutter or the pistol grip, we recommend these types of cutters for people that have arthritis in their hands, or maybe they have a little carpal tunnel, something along that line. People find these a little easier to use. Sometimes they feel like they don't have to push as hard. I'm going to use one of the straight ones, one of the pencil style ones, because that's just what I'm used to. It's my favorite, but again, there's really no right or wrong with that. One of the other differences between some of the cutters is some of them have places where you can put oil in them, so the barrels are hollow. Like, in fact, all of these here.
All of these are, yeah.
If you can see those very well, I don't know how well you can see those. We'll try to hold on to them for you.
So the brass cap back here on the top or up here just unscrews, and then this is the chamber for the oil if you choose to use it.
Yeah, but we're around here at Delphi, we don't use oil in our cutters. I personally never used oil in my cutter, so we're just gonna. The video is only going to be like about 15 minutes long, so we don't really have time to go into the whole debate about oil or not oil. So
it's not wrong, but it's not necessary.
Yeah, if you're using
our
it, great.
Yeah.
Go ahead and use it, but we're not gonna. So we'll just leave that at that. But so let me show you on this particular cutter. You want to hold it like you do a pen or a pencil. One of the biggest differences is a lot of times when you write, you kind of let the pen fall back in your hand. But with a glass cutter, you want to pick it up a little bit more. It doesn't need to be exactly, perpendicular to the surface of the glass, but we don't want it falling back too far, because then the metal part of the cutting head will drag on the glass. There's a small little wheel on the end of this. I know it's kind of hard to see.
It's like a pizza wheel on a pizza cutter.
Yeah, it's going to roll across the glass, and that's going to put a scratch in the glass that we call a score. So I'm putting a score on the glass. And that's easier to do if the wheel is up a little bit like this, the cutter's up, so the wheel can roll freely on the glass. So I'm going to put a scratch in the glass, and so, we say we're cutting glass is the term we like to use, but really we're breaking glass. And so what we're trying to do is put a weak spot in the glass, and we're controlling how we break it. So I'm going to put a scratch in the glass, or a score it's called, so that should be a weak spot, and then we're going to break it along that lines. Scores are one-shot deals, so it's not a sketching, drawing sort of a line, right? I'm going to go one continuous motion. The trickiest part, I think, for most people is to try to keep the even pressure along the length of the score. You'll notice I'm pushing on this. You can push or pull. I mean, either one works, but around here we teach people to push because you can see where you're going, and that's really important when you're drawing on the glass, like you're drawing a pattern on the glass and trying to follow that. You'll find that a lot easier pushing than you will pulling, I think. I'm going to get near the edge of the glass. You don't need to spend 5 minutes trying to find the very edge of the glass. Get close to it, right? 1/16 of an inch or so works. I'm going to come across the glass with and the same thing on the back end. I don't want to just go flying off the end and then chip the glass on the end. So we can get to about 1/16 of an inch. I happen to have like a really light score. I'm probably, so I don't know how easy that was to see in the glass.
Can you see it better
Can you
that way,
see it
Caleb?
very well? No?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it's a little difficult to see too because it's not chipped. You know, it's not gouged so deeply that it chips along the score, which is indication that it's a really good score and you should have a pretty good success rate with it, because pushing too hard can cause some issues.
You want it to look more like a hair.
Yeah, people tend to think they've got to gouge much harder than they really should. So.
Yeah, glass is an unusual material, right? I mean, normally when we're cutting things that are hard like this, we gotta like plow right through it. But glass is the exception to the rule. I'm going to show you, just to the right of it here a little bit, I'm going to show you what I think is a bad score, the type of score Val was talking about, right? If we push too hard, if we push too hard, what we get is this
visual.
really white, looking score line. We say that, in fact, you probably can't see it, but there's little bits of glass that are literally popping up off the surface, right? I mean, if you start to see, if it looks real white and you see glass popping off, it's definitely pushing too hard. What's happening here is we're getting these minute little fissures that come off the score line, and if that hits a weak spot in the glass, that's where the break's going to go. So the lighter score of these two is really the better score. So I'm going to break these real quick, and then I'm going to talk about a couple of the breaking tools. I think Val's going to talk about this one is, that was my pretty light score. We're picking a glass, to be honest, we're picking a glass that's a little bit easier to cut. Cathedrals tend to be a little easier than opaques, and especially the hand-rolled ones. Like this is this is a machine-rolled cathedral, so they tend to be a little easier to cut. I think later on we're going to be doing another cutting demonstration. Probably next month we're going to do something with the more trickier hand-rolled glasses, and we're going to show you how to cut those. But right, so this glass again should break fairly easily, but normally we want to be careful, right?
So the hard score, so you see that the hard score, the one we said wasn't that good, it still broke just fine. So I think sometimes the most important part is just to keep your pressure consistent. Because if you start out thinking, oh man, I'm a little bit hard, just go ahead and finish. I think letting up and pushing down within your one score line is going to cause you way more trouble than trying to just go ahead and finish the way you are. Make a mental note that looked pretty deep, and that next time you really don't need to go that hard. I think, because often you'll get away with it, is my point. So don't freak out and go, oh gosh, that's not going to work. Just go ahead. If you score something, you've got to try to break it. That's just all there is to it. That isn't going to do you any good with a score line on it. So, but then next time it's just it's a kind of give and take for a while till you get the feel of the pressure that's what you're after. So
I always challenge people to always. If you think you got a heavy hand on a score, it's just try to lighten up a little bit and just keep lightening up until you can get one that's pretty good. Val was commenting, certain types of glasses, a heavy score will work, but you're going to run into those glasses where a nice light even score is really going to work best. So I broke that glass real quick with my hands, but we actually have a couple of tools for doing that, and we're going to explain what both of those are here in a few minutes. But this pair here is called running pliers. The way they work is we're going to put them on the glass after we've scored it, and we're going to break it, and then the score runs. That's where the running plier part comes from. This pair is called breaker grozers. If you look at them, you'll see the jaws are slightly different. One's kind of slightly curved. This one's kind of flat, and it's got like a little notch taken out of it. A lot of times we're going to use it as a breaking plier for the most part, but we'll show you that again in another minute or two here. But Val's going to show you the running pliers and how to best use those.
Okay, so The running pliers, just so you know, this particular pair, and they make them in plastic, which they can work as well, but they don't have the one thing this pair has, which is this screw, which actually gives you a lot of versatility with this tool. This screw actually controls how open the jaw stays. So in our opinion, you don't ever use them this way completely closed because that defeats the purpose. The purpose is that you want this opening to be just a little bit smaller than the thickness of your glass so that it'll put pressure on the score, but yet you don't have to worry about crushing. You don't have to worry about controlling your own pressure. So, you know, I say, when you calibrate them, if you're not sure and you first get them, just take the screw so that the jaw closes completely, slide it up on your glass, and then you turn your screw till it touches and you can't turn it anymore. Then when you pull it out, that's giving you an opening. Can you see it? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, so to me, that's relatively the same thickness as this piece of glass. So what I want it to be is just a little bit tighter than that, a little bit smaller. So I just turn my screw about a half a turn to the left, and that means now it's not as open as this is thick, which I'm hoping will be what I want it to be. So I don't know, just the first one, just to show you how it works. So the screw is always up on the top. That'll tell you you have it turned correctly. And then there's also a line, you can't see it very well on this pair, but there's a line right in the middle of that top jaw. That line goes right on top of that score line. So you don't necessarily need these all the way in, and you don't really want them out on the edge, but I just make sure that that top jaw is like on that piece of glass. And then you just squeeze. And this is everybody who just starts out, right? This is everybody's favorite tool because it's pretty slick the way it works. So that's just your general snapping. Now, if you want to do some other things, like Roy talked about the idea that we're actually running a score. So sometimes when someone scores and they have a change in direction in their score line, and they put these on and run it, and it kind of just doesn't make the turn, it just shoots right off. We kind of think it's because the score line's being run so quickly that it can't hold a curve. So the other beauty of this pair of pliers is that you open the jaw a little bit more, and that puts less pressure. So you can kind of control the amount of pressure. So if you're trying to do a curve or something where it might not be successful, you just open your jaws a little bit and you can crack from both ends and actually have a little more success than not if you don't use these to adjust. So it's kind of interesting. A lot of people don't know about you can do that. So the way, should I just draw it? I think I should draw it so you can see it better. So this is one of these things that we call an inside curve. So if I were going to cut this and just want this half circle, I could cut it in several cut, break, and it doesn't matter because I don't need this piece. If I need this piece and I have to get this piece out of there without, or if I need this piece and I have to get this piece out of there without losing my tips, then that gets a little trickier. So that's one of the situations where we use these pliers all the time. So I just sort of drew the line so you could kind of follow. But so what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to kind of score. And we didn't talk about standing up, but I don't know about you, but I think standing up is probably a better way to score glass. I don't think I can do it sitting down. Okay, so I got that. So I'm going to open, I had my pliers set. I showed you how I did that. Now I'm going to just turn my screw to the right back a little bit more just to open them up more. Because what I'm looking for here is just to hear it crack. So I'm just going to, did you hear it? I just barely started to pump. And you can't see it, but I can see that it's already cracked up to here. Oh, I hit the edge. Well, this is what happens. So just so you know, I mean, this is a dangerous sport here. So it's really going to be okay. But okay, well, you wanna crack the other end?
Sure. Why not?
Well, I just don't want to get
blood
on everything.
But you know, it doesn't always look good to have blood. But, you know, when people are demonstrating cutting, right, and then there's blood on there. But so Val started it there, and then we're going to come back around to this end.
But before I was gonna show them, before you do that, show how, if I just would have had my pliers adjusted normally and run this, probably 90% of the time, it's just gonna go right up here, and then instead of being able to make that curve, it's going so fast, it's just gonna shoot right off. So once again, that, you could do it if this was the piece you want, but if you're trying to not lose this whole corner, this is the way. I don't know if I'm making it very clear, but that's
I think I'm following you. Oh, I'm following you.
Well,
but
good.
of course, I know what you're doing.
So then you crack from both ends is sort of the idea, and I'm trying to kind of control the crack so that.
So then we come in here, and you can see. So one of the things that you have to be careful of when you start to do like some kind of a curve is you have to make sure again that both sides of the pliers are on the glass, right? So it's easy to kind of come like this, and I'm not, this left side's not on the glass, and so it's not going to apply equal pressure. So I have to come in just a little bit more, again, making sure both sides are on the glass. I'm going to give it a light little squeeze, maybe. But I got to loosen up a little bit more.
You get
and
it?
You can see, look, almost like I knew what I was doing.
Screw it up.
So you can see how easy it is, and not only does that work great on curves, this starting, breaking from one end and then breaking from the other end. It works also great on straight lines if you're doing something where the score is kind of long, and then we're expecting the score to run this, distance. Even that 12-inch piece that I was just cutting. Sometimes it's easier to come in, start the score from here, or start the break from here, and then come around and finish it up on the other end. I'll show you real quick, just.
Sometimes
just so you have an idea of what's
even
going
if it's
on.
straight, the longer it is and the thinner it is, the more cracking from both ends can kind of give you a little bit of an insurance.
So whenever I hear my score, it always makes me think that that it's a bad thing to always listen for your score, right? Not all glass makes the same sound. Transparent glasses tend to make more sound than an opaque glass does. So if you're always think you need to hear the sound when you score, you're probably going to end up over-scoring certain types of glasses. So to me, it's more of a feel thing. And I know it just, again, if you're new to this, it just comes with practice. So one of the things, as Val was talking about, so we've adjusted this, so hopefully I don't have to do much to it other than just give a little squeeze. And we're just going to listen for the sound.
Too open.
Oh, well, look at that. So
that's what happens with glass. It's easy to cut.
This glass is so easy to cut, break that obviously that was pretty easy. But if it's trickier, so I guess to the point is if you're squeezing, you hear a pop, but it doesn't run the full length, right? Instead of trying to adjust this and squeeze harder, it's better just to go around to the back side to the other opposite end of your score line and then give it a squeeze. So
we'll review that too when we do our next video of the more advanced cutting techniques.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're out of time. So hopefully, you got some information on there. If you, again, if you want to get a hold of us, just make sure you can, message us, on Facebook or Instagram, or you can always email us at facebook@delphiglass.com. And hopefully we'll see you guys again soon.